around us. We're going to head over to Merritt for some riding over there, and then we're going to finish off down in Penticton. This week we'll be riding with a big group of guys, but we've got Ben Boyko coming up from Norco and Wade Simmons coming up from Rocky Mountain, and then we're going to hook up with locals everywhere we go, and they're going to show us the goods. Definitely some big boy trails here. We're going to hit up some fairly serious things. Because it's so dry, a lot of guys just end up building out of wood because the dirt just blows away in the summertime. And over the years, I think they've gotten a little bit carried away. We are on the first day. We're going to head out behind the airport. We're going to go and we're going to see some of the bigger trails. So this is for the big kids. We're going to go and check out some of the bigger lines, and they're going to show us the big jumps.
Hey, you! Check them out.
Fossil is just really good trail systems. It's really smooth, just lots of really nice man-made moves.
Leroy started building up here about 5 years ago now and built the biggest wall ride in mountain biking, and it's just stemmed from there. I got inspired and I went and built a higher line, lots of big stuff, and this area is just awesome.
The big famous wall ride, I had seen it in videos and seen it in photos and stuff like that, and always wondered where it was. It was a fun wall, for sure.
Hey, you! Check them out.
When you say the word postal or addiction, everyone kind of goes, hey, what? I've been there, that place is gnarly. It just has a vibe, and it's always been this way. This is where the crazy bush parties happen, it's where the mud bogs are, it's where all the big stunts in Kelowna are, and it just is the way it is.
The Beat Generation. Young savages from nice families. They want their kicks now.
BC is a big place, and if all you see is stuff about Crankworx, you might think that all that BC riding is in Whistler. But if you were to take a sheet of paper and put a little dot on it, that's Whistler and the North Shore. The rest of that sheet of the paper is the riding in BC. It's huge.
The man hours that are put into these trails, it's incredible actually. I can't even put it into words. It's some real hardcore trail building.
Basically the trails here, they kind of obviously go by the style of my riding. It's pretty smooth. I'm glad it worked out.
Finished riding, and we're going to head down and grab some food. None of us have eaten all day, and we're going to have dinner at the winery.
So we're staying at the Eldorado here. There's no shortage of great places to stay in Kelowna, but this one being on the beach and being the historic beachfront hotel, this is where we're staying. It's fantastic. We're riding Gallard. It's this area in Kelowna that gets shot a lot. Most of the trails up here have been built for previous movies, things like New World Disorder, Cranked, that sort of thing. Definitely some big stuff to be seen in here.
We rode a couple trails called Kerplop and Huck and Grassel, which was built by Ryan McKenna from Kelowna.
I like riding Gallard mainly because every single trail that's been built in this matrix is downhill.
They've really taken the wood construction to a whole different place here. They build it wide, they build it fast, they build it big. So in 2003, the big fires rolled through this area, burned off all the original trails. Everything was completely wiped out. You'll see a lot of standing deadwood. And everything, actually the mountain bike club in the area, a lot of people have come together to restore all these trails, and it's looking fantastic.
You hit like everything top to bottom. I don't get the feeling that like anybody has actually hit every stunt top to bottom in one run. I don't think anyone's done that, but if you did, you'd have the ride of a lifetime for sure.
Today we're in Powers Creek. It's got an easy shuttle access to it. It's got just really good flow, really good construction, and it's a lot of fun to ride.
This trail, it's located on the west side of Kelowna, on the west side of the lake. It's one of the best shuttle roads in town, actually, paved the majority of the way. And it's one of the more epic trails, kind of fun for all abilities of riders.
Most of the trails were old hiking trails, and then our buddy Dave Diddler, he's gotten in here over the last few years and started building mountain bike trails that crisscross in and out of the old single track. And Dave's whole mantra is ordinary Joe's, not for the pros. So he likes to build trails that we can actually ride on, not so scary, way better flow, lots of fun.
Had a good day of riding. Checked out some pretty fun stunts. Ripping trails, some cool wall rides, and you know, some interesting stuff. It was a good time.
Can you go wrong with a big lake and girls in bikinis on the beach? And it's just a really fun place to ride a bike. You know, I moved here from the North Shore for a reason. Well, I think we're done with Kelowna. We're gonna pack up the truck. We're gonna start heading west. It's not very far to Merritt. It's a bit of an unknown. It's about an hour from here. Merritt's kind of that big junction in the middle of the province, and we're gonna have a look at what they've got for us. Some new trails. I think we can see a little bit of snow, a lot more vertical, a little more technical riding, and Mr. Simmons is gonna show up and make things more interesting.
They've helped define extreme sports by smashing the limits.
Here he goes. Oh my God!
themselves. Discover what drives the sport's greatest stars.
He's got it!
And relive some truly awesome moments in history.
Ladies and gentlemen, the ball has just been hit out of the park.
These guys really are X Games heroes. Today on Extreme. There are few instincts as strong as survival. And when your hunters on horseback and trained to track you down, the prey need to stay one step ahead.
I guarantee he has binoculars.
But this guy's so good, he might just hear the heart thumping in your chest.
It's tough tracking. It was brutal. I don't know where they are right now.
Man Tracker. Today on Extreme. What could make these guys behave like this?
Yeah, it sucks.
I think my nuts exploded.
Find out in Aya TV. Tonight on Extreme.
Well, we ended up wrapping up the Kelowna scene there and cruised an hour and a half northwest and rolled into Merritt.
So we met up this morning with Chris and Shane, a couple guys that live here and build trails. They shuttled us up to the top of this little hill here, and they took us into this area they just call the Burn. Doesn't really have a name, and it drops into this little trail they call Windy Canyon.
So pretty stoked to hook up with Johnny and ride the best trails in the Thompson Okanagan. I don't know the vertical, but we dropped through some high-speed grassland stuff through a bit of a burn, and then we drop into a gully, and oh man, it's so cool. It kind of reminds me of like Utah.
Well, the gully's awesome. It starts off pretty shallow, you know, you're just doing little turns back and forth, and then suddenly it just gets deeper and deeper, and it's taking away your lines, and you know, you want to have fun with it, and you ramp up on the wall, and then suddenly it just like drops out away from you, and you're dodging rocks, and everybody's going different ways. It's a lot of fun. I love riding stuff like that. That's what we're up to now. Riding's over. I think it's time for maybe a beer after we drive back to the ranch, and I'm really looking forward to the meal they're going to serve us up.
We had some good home cooking from Susie there. You know, like organic chicken and rice and you name it. She's a fantastic cook. So we got like the royal treatment there.
And then we got playing some cards, and in typical Western style, the whiskey came out, and it was good times at the old AP range. Yeehaw! You know, we just woke up, had a wicked breakfast, gonna go back in town, meet the locals, and it's a little cold out here though, man. Geez, fall in, up in the mountains.
Instead of riding up Iron, we went up, had a look, no go. We decided to ride this low elevation trail. It's called the Swaucombe Trail. It's been here for years.
It's an older trail, especially up high. We got into a bunch of little wooden stunts. They're pretty old school, a little slick with the bit of rain and snow that we had.
It's pretty sweet, you know. It's definitely some really good drifting and cornering going on, and a couple gaps in between.
Finally the sun's come out, and I think Andre, the head cowboy here, is going to take us out for a little city folk horse ride.
Time is done here in Merritt. I think we're going to pack up. It's an hour back to Kelowna and then another 45 minutes or so down to Penticton. So here we are in Penticton. We pulled out of Merritt and we drove east actually about an hour down here to Penticton. Actually now we're close to where we started in Kelowna, just down the end of the lake. So our first ride here, we were just outside of Penticton, this little community called Naramata, which is another one of those little hippie communities that's sort of grown up out of the old roots.
Stoked to be hanging out with another Penticton local, Kurt Flaman. He's got the shop in town, Freedom Cycles, really big on kind of trail advocacy and maintaining the trails around here. And of course he's got the local knowledge too, so he's been kind of turning us around, man. It's been awesome.
The weather here is really famous actually, because we're at the tip of the Sonoran Desert here in Penticton, and if you hit it on the right days in the fall and the spring, you can ski in the morning and ride in the afternoon.
Penticton is a gem, and not many people know about Penticton yet, and it's got such an underground, hardcore group of cyclists that have been doing this for years and years and years.
Yeah, it's funny, you know, I mean, I'm from the shore. I'm kind of known as a North Shore guy from way back when, but I've always ridden up here. The first time I rode a mountain bike up here would have been 1984. I've always found too that when we bring people up here to ride, that they always seem to come back. I think this place here really sets you up for success for riding BC. Let's face it, trails are hard out here, and this place might forgive you a little bit quicker. When you look around here, you don't really notice how big the mountains are because they're not steep and they're just not as imposing and as impressive as something like the Selkirks or the Rockies. But when you start looking at how much vertical is, there's more vertical here than most other places. We've got up to 6,000 vertical feet from the peaks to the lake.
The trails that we found ourselves riding are some of the gems of the Okanagan, just the fast, flowy, Oh, they're so fun. And they're all based out of Naramata, so we're above a lot of the major wineries in this area.
Oh man, end of the trip, Penticton has delivered. Sunshine, smooth trails, dry weather. How good is that? You know, within like 100, 200K drive, hour and a half here, an hour and a half there, you can be in 4 or 5 different towns, and each town has an established trail network. And I mean, you got 4 or 5 days going on a road trip. You can't get better than the Thompson Okanagan. Man, it's just been pure pleasure.
Yeah, it's definitely my favorite spot.